Welcome into another video, and it is week 11. It is Tuesday. It is power rankings time. We are 10 weeks into the season. Kind of crazy that we're at this point. Feels like the season just started yesterday, but that is life in the National Football League. As you can see here, we have 11 through 32 already listed out for you. This is the first time the Green Bay Packers have missed my top 10 all year long. They find themselves at 3-1. Not the end of the world, but last 2 weeks, it has looked pretty piss poor. I believe that is my highest ranking this year for the Saints. I really liked what I saw from them in their game against the Carolina Panthers. But let's get into what you guys all want to know, and that is my top 10 teams, kicking it off with my number 10, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of their lowest rankings this season. You know, a winnable game at home against the New England Patriots. I really expected them to come away with that one, and they just fell short. And they had a lot of opportunities to go out there and win that game. Regardless, it's still a high-volume offense that's been beat up throughout the year in their, receiving core. They got Ibuka back. He looked really solid, but overall, not a great game. You got Buffalo. You got LA. It's about to get tough for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over these next 2 weeks. They really got to kind of go back to the drawing board just a little bit here. I don't think they need to change up too much. Patriots are still the real deal. Still a really good team, but they've got to figure some things out. Let's go ahead and move into my number 9 team, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. After finding themselves in the 21 to 25 range, this team has fought its way back into contention. You kind of knew that was going to be coming, I mean, their defense is finally starting to look like a top 10 unit after an abysmal start to the season. Lamar Jackson is back, healthy, playing really good football. They go into Minnesota on the road and get a very big win. Every game from this point on, not necessarily must win because the Steelers are starting to fall off. The Bengals and the Browns are kind of out of the race. It's going to come down to just the Steelers and the Ravens are getting hot and the Steelers are cooling off. So not every game is a must-win game, but seeding also does matter every once in a while. Okay, so you want to get your mix in that as well. But regardless, defense is starting to look like a top 10 unit. Offense is back, firing on full cylinders. They didn't score a lot of touchdowns against the Minnesota Vikings, but Brian Flores, good defense up in Minnesota. You were on the road. They were still able to put up 20-something points. Really good game from the Baltimore Ravens. They 3 straight wins now. 3 straight wins. They're right back in the mix. Let's move on to my number 8 team. I think this might be my lowest ranking for this team this year. That's the Buffalo Bills, who I really thought after they got the bye week, after they got the Panthers and they beat the Chiefs, that this team was going to start rolling. They've done the opposite. They've done the exact opposite. I thought that Chiefs win was going to really propel them. I had them at number 1 last week. You go out there and you put up a dud against the Miami Dolphins, a division rival. I mean, that was terrible. And there were so many opportunities in that game. I mean, countless opportunities that just gave the game away against a bad team that struggled all year long. It's an inexcusable loss. I know I'm always the one to say you can never take division games with a grain of salt. Rivalries. Teams always show up to play a little bit more. But the Buffalo Bills had to show up too, and they didn't show up at all. Really piss poor game. I still have faith in this team moving forward, but that was a tough one. And they got the Bucs this week. That is not going to be an easy task for them. So they really need to wake up and get it together. Both the Bucs and the Bills coming off some big losses this season. Moving into my number 17, we have the New England Patriots, their highest ranking on the season so far, and doesn't get much better than that. This was one of those games that you looked on the Patriots schedule and you're like, that's going to be a tough one because there's not a whole lot of games on the Patriots schedule that are going to be tough ones. That was one of the games. They came out victorious. This team genuinely might go on to win the AFC East this year because the Bills' schedule isn't as light as the New England Patriots schedule is. I still think that they have to play the Jets twice, once including this Thursday. They've got Miami once again in there, Buffalo obviously once again in there, but they're starting to gain themselves a pretty decent lead now on this one. If they go out there and they beat Buffalo again, that about seals the deal, but they still got to go out there and play the games. But the Patriots have a easy remaining schedule ahead of them, and they are in the driver's seat for the AFC East. Let's go ahead and move into my number 6 team, wrapping up my 6 through 10. And I dropped the Colts down 1 spot. Obviously, a resilient win in Germany against the Atlanta Falcons, a good win. You know, they still have one of the best teams in football. And I might get a little flack for that, but at the end of the day, I'm still not seeing the Daniel Jones that I was seeing like weeks 1 through 9 that I saw against the Atlanta Falcons. Jonathan Taylor, though, MVP conversations. He genuinely needs to be in them. He is carrying this team to victories week after week after week. Like, Jonathan Taylor needs to be in the MVP conversation. Obviously, he's not going to win it. He wouldn't even get my true vote, like, for the MVP, because it's just not the way the league runs. But at the end of the day, he deserves every right to be in the conversations. He probably is the front runner, runaway favorite maybe for Offensive Player of the Year, right there with Jackson Smith-Njigba. Colts still a very good team, but I've just liked what I've seen more from these other 5 teams. I have more trust in these other 5 teams up to this point. And let's move on to them. And making their debut in the top 5 this year, Seattle Seahawks, baby. I mean, top 5 defense, top 5 offense. Really, it's a unit. That team is a unit. And when I was doing my preseason predictions, I had them at 9-8. I thought that was fair. They went 10-7 last year. I thought maybe a little slight step back. I was very, very thrilled with the Kubiak signing, but I was just hesitant to put all my faith and all my chips into Sam Darnold, who no longer had Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, an elite offensive line. But they have a lot of really good things going on in Seattle right now. I'm putting my chips back into my Seahawks basket. I think that this is a damn good team, has every right to be in the top 5 and make their debut in my top 5. And I don't know if they're going to lose it. I know they don't have an easy schedule. They've got a really tough division. The Rams are in their division. The 49ers are in the division. Cardinals are in their division, kind of making their way out of those 3. But regardless, Seattle, damn good team. Moving on to my number 4 team, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. And you can sit there and say, oh, Will, they didn't look that great last night. They only scored 10 points. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you went into Lambeau Field. You won in prime time, against a really good defense. You outscored the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are really looking bad right now. And the Eagles probably shouldn't have won that game, but you did. You prevailed. The defense played lights out last night. This team does need to get A.J. Brown the ball more, and I think they'll be all right. Regardless of what you want to say about the Eagles and how bad they might have looked last night, they won the game on the road in prime time. They've got some big wins on their schedule this year. They've beaten the Bucks. They've beaten the Rams, okay? Eagles are still no slouches. I don't care what you saw out of that Monday night performance. They're still well-deserved in my top 4. Moving on to my number 3 team, and I have the Detroit Lions. I they just keep bouncing back in and out of my top 5 here because I really like, obviously, the Detroit Lions. They've, I think, only fallen as far as 8 this year, and that was after their loss, or they might have fallen out of my top 10 after their loss to Green Bay in week 1, and last week after their loss to Minnesota, they fell to 6. But regardless, Dan Campbell takes over play calling, calls up a beautiful game. I'm not going to put too much stock into that because the Commanders' defense is old, it is hurt, and it is piss poor. Really, end of the day. Like, that's what it is. So I'm not going to put too much stock into the Lions offense, which is already a very good offense, lighting the Commanders defense on fire. I think that they did what they were supposed to do, though. They were a 3-score win in the NFL. Damn good football. But I'm not going to put too much stock into that Lions game over the Commanders. But regardless, they look damn good. Well-deserved back in my top 5. Number 2, Kansas City Chiefs. Off the bye week, I think they're going to start figuring things out, guys. Got the Denver Broncos this week. This is going to be a big test for them. If they can see if they can get back into this divisional race. This is what it comes down to. This is going to be one of those games look back on at the end of the season and be the reason why they either won the division or lost the division. Broncos have a nice steady lead right now, but they have to play the Chiefs twice. And they have not been looking good. Kansas City, still my number 2 team. I think they beat the Denver Broncos this weekend and start to find themselves back into that AFC West mix and making their debut at number 1 this year, baby. I love to see it, baby. I love to see the Los Angeles Rams looking like the best team in football because I have taken a lot of heat over the years for how much stock I've been consistently putting into the Los Angeles Rams. Last year, I had that team going to the Super Bowl, fell short in the divisional round against the Philadelphia Eagles. I doubled down this year, said this team's going to the Super Bowl, and it's looking fucking good. You could make an argument for this team to be 10-0. No bullshit. You could make an argument for this team to be 10-0. Go look at their 2 losses. Kyren Williams, botched fumble. Kind of threw the game away against the 49ers in overtime. We really fucked them. 2, blowing out the Eagles in the first half. A complete collapse. Eagles fight their way back, go on and win the game. It was a very, very sad performance in the second half. That was the worst they looked all year by far, was the second half against that Eagles game. But that's the NFL. That's why we play the games all 60 minutes. They're not 10-0, but they very well could be. Regardless, this is a damn good team. I mean, they had just spanked the 49ers. And I know the 49ers are beat up. They're no slouches. At the end of the day, though, they're no slouches. They are beat up. Yes, they're very injured. Regardless, they spanked them. Spanked them. Rams, best team in football. Matthew Stafford, my MVP pick right now. He is playing the best football in his career. Beyond his years, wiser, reading the field, knowing everything. I mean, this dude has just done nothing but propel his game to another stratosphere year after year after year. He gets an MVP. He gets another Super Bowl ring. Gold jacket, guaranteed. I already think he should be a gold jacket guy. I think he's one of the greatest talents that this NFL has ever seen, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the history of this league. He should be wearing a gold jacket one day, but if he gets an MVP and another Super Bowl ring, go ahead and lock in that gold jacket. Lock it in. He is playing unreal football. He is the best quarterback in football so far this season. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another Power Rankings. If you want to go check out my Dynasty content already pushed out this morning, go take a look at that. I also touched on Brian Daboll's firing yesterday. If you want to go look at that, and we're going to have some more content coming next week and throughout this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another video. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.